I've had several comments on the channel suggesting that spirited driving alone is enough to clean carbon from the engine and that the use of fuel additives is just a waste of money. Today I'm putting this hypothesis to the test and I'm going to be doing a drive on the freeway without any additives, pushing my 2017 Accord really hard, and then compare the before and the after footage from the combustion chamber. I'll be looking at the injector tips, piston tops, as well as the spark plugs. Now let's get this. If you're subscribed to the channel or a regular viewer, you already know how we roll. First is to get the baseline footage from the combustion chamber, and so off goes the engine cover, ignition coils, and the spark plugs. Some of you have asked for before footage of the spark plugs. Nothing remarkable here, but we'll circle back to these after the spirited run. For the piston tops, let's go in with my bore scope. And I'm starting from cylinder 2, which has the center area mostly clean, even though there are varnish stains, but there's exposure of bare metal. There are deposits in the valve reliefs, and you can see the black carbon as you go towards the edges of the piston. Over to cylinder 3, and it's really a similar picture of a cleaner center with carbon buildup around the outer circumference of the piston. And that takes us to cylinder 4, which appears to be the cleanest so far, especially if you consider the exposure of bare metal around the edges. However, in general, the pattern is consistent with the other two cylinders. Finally, I left cylinder 1 for last because it's an outlier. As you can see, there's a lot more carbon buildup even in the center area. There's just a few areas where you have bare metal. Now I believe the injector here is the dirtiest of all the cylinders, and that's why there's so much more carbon. Watch out for the video where I'm going to be pulling out these injectors and giving them an ultrasonic clean. Lastly, here's how the tip of the direct injectors look across all the cylinders. There's significant carbon buildup on these nozzles, which is one of the pains of direct injection, but we'll check back later to see if any cleaning has been done here. Now let's put things back together. I put the car into sport mode for higher revs and then hit the road. Now just stating, if you're doing this, do drive responsibly. I normally find the freest freeway or highway around me and then push the pedal to the metal. That whole drive ended up being about 60 miles. These carbon cleaning videos take a lot of effort to make, so do drop a like and subscribe if this is your sort of thing. Also, I'm launching memberships, and I'll be grateful if you could check it out and see whether you want to support the channel through that way. Thank you very much. Now let's go ahead and see what the after looks like, starting with the spark plugs. The before is on the left and the after is on the right. I don't really think there's much between these two. I was expecting a bit of darkening, but perhaps these ruthenium spark plugs are holding up quite well. Switching gears to the injector tips, there's clearly significant cleaning on these nozzles, as you can now see more bare metal, especially if you focus on the injector in cylinder 1. I honestly wasn't expecting much cleaning, especially for these injector tips. But let's move over to the pistons. And starting from cylinder 1, it generally doesn't look like much has happened. However, remember that cylinder 1 was the outlier of all the cylinders. And zooming in and doing a more detailed analysis, I can see that there's some cleaning that's been done. If you take a look at this valve relief, this stretch of deposit in the before is largely gone. The deposits here and here also reduced a bit. Moving over to cylinder 2, there's also some cleaning, especially if you focus on this area. Also, you can see more bare metal exposed in this center area. There was also some cleaning in cylinder 3, and a lot of the buildup around this A2A inscription has been cleaned off. However, I must say that the spirited driving hasn't done much about the varnish stains. If anything, the stains have rather increased from the accelerated fuel burn, which is the browner hue that you're seeing in the after. And so let's skip over to cylinder 4, where you can clearly see that the buildup in this valve relief is much less, as you can now see that the curvature in that area is much more clearly defined. So this is how much cleaning I was able to get in 60 miles of spirited driving without any cleaner in the tank. I did this with regular gas, and perhaps your result might be different if you use premium fuel. The take home here being that you have to do a lot more spirited driving to get the combustion chamber cleaned, but perhaps if you have a lead foot and hit high revs consistently, I would expect that your combustion chamber would generally be cleaner. In the next video, I'll show results from another spirited drive, but this time with a fuel additive in the tank. and we'll then do a side-by-side comparison of additive versus no additive spirited drive. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you on the next one.